Good day and welcome back to Elementary 72 Gaming. Before I get into this video, I'd like to ask you all to please leave a like or comment on my video and consider subscribing to the channel. So for today is going to be the standard patch notes and maintenance. Now I'm going to go through a read through of the patch notes and maintenance, and then I'm going to elaborate on what has happened in the community and what hasn't appeared in this update which was supposed to be here. So let's go through it starting from the top. They have introduced T6 four new ships for the faculty of interdiction. Now interdiction spheres are a PvP weapon and they have been introduced. They've also introduced a few interdiction cruisers in T8, T9 and T10. Sorry. So that is the first thing on the introduction of new ships. Now, new skills that have been introduced to the game. Signal interference technology. It can increase the effect and range of players using signal interference equipment, including tracking disruptors, guidance disruptor, sensor dampener, and target painter. Number 2, space interference device operation. It can increase the effect and range of players' range type jump interference devices, contains interdiction bubble and warp disruptor field generator. Okay, skill adjustment, electronic warfare technology. Previously, it would only reduce the capacitor consumption of a small amount of electronic warfare equipment. The range of Nosferatu and energy neutralizer is now additionally increased. The technical level of battleship skills, large weapon skills has been downgraded to T8. Okay, new features in the game, Halloween activities which will be from 31st of October to 10th November. They added the Alliance channel. Test server is closed. Starting from November, the login bonus will be restored to 30 days per month or 31 actual days. You can claim rewards for each day. Added 8 light interdictor and 8 heavy interdiction cruisers to construction and the market. Added 7 modules to the market. Cloaking and cosmic anomalies will no longer stop them from being erased. 8 increase the waiting time while leaving the station. During the waiting time, you can abort the undock. Capsulia outposts can no longer be protected by force field defense modules, or defense link modules. Added description for 7 new event modules. Name change history will now be displayed in employment history. Improved notification pop-up. Product names are now displayed in construction notice. Skills that can only be learned as Omega will now be added to tech level after Omega expires. The crime timer is now also displayed in the station. Size of chat interface improved so it no longer hides the main interface. Improved Capsulia outpost info. Fixes. Fix the issue with drones sometimes where the drones did not show the bonus. Fix reprocessing error that occurs when a citadel was destroyed or during unanchoring process. Fix the problem where player ship report did not show up, damage report did not show up. Fix the problem where some players' name show blank. Fix the problem where the range would not increase further after tracking computer was activated. Okay, so a lot of things were added and I just did a very quick read through. Now, overall, they have introduced the interdiction weapons, and that's with the interdiction ships. So you have to use the interdiction ship to use interdiction spheres. These are a massive part of PvP. However, no counteractive measure has been added for interdiction spheres. Interdiction spheres aren't going to be blocked by gates or planets, and these are things which are going to cause a massive problem. Because the way that interdiction spheres work is they just pull anybody out of autopilot or anybody out of warp. And it means that you can fight anybody as they're traveling through a sector. Now, they need to have had something that balances out the play. This is where they lead to problems where players will feel like they're being cheated in balancing weapons. They have introduced a massive offense without the defense that can take it on. You need something that hurts the player, something that can use the interdiction sphere against the player, or something that can counter the interdiction sphere by turning you around. Example, add a sensor to your ship to allow you to evade interdiction spheres, or add a disruption field from the gates where interdiction spheres cannot be completely placed over a gate. So basically, small protection for the casual player. Remember, this is not EVE Online, this is EVE Echoes. It is a mobile game, not a PC game. Don't go along with the whole story. It came from PC, it should stay with the exact same features. I can guarantee you there are PC games that came down to mobile and they have added features for the protection of the mobile game audience. Now, moving on, the next thing to notice was the weapon buffs and debuffs did not get entered. That's because of the massive backlash they received on them and the amount of comments changing how it should be done. Now, what they are doing is they are readjusting them according to the comments that were received, but they haven't yet even read through all the comments, suggestions, and complaints. That means that everything that is being introduced is just an arbitrary introduction and it hasn't been thought through properly. Now, if you notice a lot of things that I did discuss previously have been discussed in these little updates. Now, the one thing that I do say is fantastic is events in the game like the Halloween event. It is something that was much needed for the PvE audience. These small things will attract more players to play more PvE. And it is going to be more fun and more interesting to get these modules from this. So these interdiction modules are going to definitely come out of Halloween anomalies. And once they are there, we are going to be able to use them for better purposes in the next level of gaming. Now, when it comes to disruptor technology, we haven't yet even been introduced to it properly. The disruptor technology disrupts your ability to target, your range, your effectiveness, it basically takes away a lot of your effectiveness in combat. Now, the fact that it is in the game is something that is adding a new element on top of everything. Within interdiction spheres and interdiction bubbles, you can use this here to gain the advantage to take out the players who have set up the bubble, or they can use it to make sure you can't fight back. Now, PvP and PvE players will use this because for PvE it will have an effect against the anomaly enemies or the encounter enemies or your mission enemies, allowing you to take advantage of that little situation and win quick combat. Now, I know that this is something which is a small win, but it is a way that PvE players are now going to get a massive advantage. The field of play has now shifted from PvP to PvE. PvE players generally use afterburners, PvP generally use micro warp drives. Micro warp drives are non-effective within interdiction spheres. That means that the general PvP play of super speeding is no longer going to be available. Now, afterburners do still work on figures to give you maximum amounts of speed. However, within an interdiction sphere, all warp is disrupted, friendly and enemy. So everybody will be stuck within this field without being able to warp away. And for PvE players with big ships, this is exactly what you wanted. The ability to catch someone who is trying to camp you and smash them to pieces. So when you get caught in a bubble, remember to play the proper strategies to make sure that you don't get destroyed. Now, running the small little frigates that can get through every single gate before they can lock on you will not work against an interdiction sphere. You will be stopped within it because the spheres are massive, and as they stop you inside, you are going to still have to drift through a lot of space in order to exit. So if you are thinking of autopiloting and using that as your way through, remember they can catch you within interdiction spheres. They are 120-second deployments, so they are definitely active when they activate these. So chances of you getting through with autopilot are almost null. This here now means that another additional aspect of PvP has been added. If it can be deployed within low sec, because I did hear that it can be used inside the low sec if it's not near a gate or a station. If that is true, then that means that you can actually destroy players in the low secs during missions, and this is going to cause massive problems in the game. Players are going to drift out overnight to like 20-30,000 kilometers away from a station where they know missions are spawning, and they're going to set up interdiction campsites over there so that when players launch from a station to go to a mission, they're caught in the interdiction sphere and destroyed. Now, this is something which can be played against the PvE players by PvP players, and it most likely will be done to stop them from getting into missions. So, yeah, it's something that should have had something to have an effect against it, like a scanner detector which alters your path or something of the sort. Basically, it fills in the same purpose as a warp core optimizer. If you equip it on your ship, you can now turn your path around a warp an interdiction sphere. Something like that is needed for the balancing. Warp disruptors are balanced off with warp core stabilizers. Interdiction spheres do not have a counteractive measure. Disruptor weapons do not have a counteractive measure against them. So all of this has to be taken up, and they're going to have to fix this before they try and do anything further with introductions of new items to the game. They have to introduce those first. If they introduce more PvP stuff, trust me, the game is going to take a nice little knock when players start feeling the pinch in the PvE sector. Remember, PvE generates all your equipment that generates your PvP. Now, moving on from this, there were one or two small things that players might not have noticed. Now, within all of this was the fact that name changes will now pop up on your employment history. People change names to spy on corporations. And with this here showing up, it's going to mean that the spying aspect is now going to have to be more perfectly nailed down within the game. Also, the alliance channel is a massive increase, because a massive alliance used to communicate with one or two members. Now that it is part of the official game, it means everybody can gather in a single place and talk very easily. Now, while I am still waiting for the server to come back online, this is going to be the basis of all that I have to talk about today. Now, I know this isn't a very big explanation on what's been going on, and I haven't discussed everything in detail. That's because I don't have enough information at the moment. The people who used to give me information quit after joining the test server, as far as I know, because I'm not receiving feedback from them. There's no information coming back. The PvE Alliance has vanished. They no longer responding. I've tried to contact like 4 or 5 members who were part of it. There's no response. And with this being said, I don't know if I can get any information, and I'm asking you, the audience, who I have to thank profusely for getting me up to 176 subscribers, that if you are willing to actually give me some feedback on your weapons, contact me in game, contact me on Discord. I will definitely go through and explain whatever I can in terms of the actual gameplay, and I will try and see how it works out in the questions which I ask you. Basically, I'll ask you, how's the range on your weapon? Do you feel that you have an optimal range advantage? Does it get better or worse with increased range? Does it get better or worse with decreased range? Do you have better damage, less damage? Is it unfair against certain opponents? Do you feel like you have an advantage on a certain type of vessel that you shouldn't have? Those are the questions that I ask, and those are the things that I ask for those who are willing to test out weapons for me. It's about 20 to 30 questions generally when they do any update or patch, or in the middle of a season when I notice a lot of complaints on the Discord group. I generally ask these questions of the players who use that particular weapon types. Now, it's going to be cannons, missiles, because I myself use missiles, but I don't use my own commentary because I am very prejudiced towards the missiles. Lasers, and railguns. So I need all of them described to me and communicated with me. Decomposer weapons will not be analyzed because of the fact that they are just a faction weapon and only work with one set of ships. Now, further than this, the faction ships and so forth, I get feedback from the PvP corporations like Genesis and OP4S, and that's where 90% of my information comes in from. However, I haven't had a very good streaming of information from certain corporations. I suspect it's because they're dissolving at the moment. So yeah, so that's the basis of it. And I'd like to see if anybody is willing to help out with giving some information. I don't disclose any information on who gives me info. Even if someone accuses me of lying, I will not expose you. And that is a guarantee from me. You've seen me be very, very stubborn about it. I'll never even show a picture of the Discord with your name blanked out. That's how serious I am about not disclosing who gives me information. So you can feel safe and secure if you do give me any information on the aftermath of a fight. Like if you all fought in a war in a PvP corporation, let's say Terran Alliance versus Bees, if you all fought and someone gets defeated, y'all can tell me y'all were defeated, it's a terrible loss, y'all talking about dissolving after the battle. I don't mind it. I don't ask for information before a battle because that they can impact your battle by me accidentally spilling a little bit to an ally. And that is something that I don't like to do. I like to talk about it after the incident. So yeah, that's what I'm asking for. I'm not going to pay for information in terms of ISK and so forth. I did joke a little bit about you being my spies in the game, but you aren't really spies, you're just reporting on what has happened. And most of your diplomats and corps actually do it all the time. I just don't have access to every single corp because I'm still a very small YouTube channel. And I do want to grow a little bit further, sorry. I'm almost at the goal of 250 for the third month of gameplay. I believe there's another 12 days left for me to reach that figure. I'm not sure that I'm going to reach 250, but let's see if we can make it to 200. And then the next month I'll leave another goal, and the month after another goal, until eventually we finally reach the total that this channel is going to be established with, and where we can show that this is a nice community. And I am going to be adding a little bit of gameplay to the game. I'm going to be adding a little bit of other things into my videos. So you're going to be seeing some gameplay in the future. But at current, I have a limit on the amount of memory I have with my device. The game is too large for my current device, and the future device that I'm gaining is going to actually give me the larger memory. So that is just about it, and thank you all for subscribing and continuous support. Thank you all for commenting, and even those who leave hate mail, thank you all for supporting the video. And I hope you have a good day.